The virtual bell echoed across a digital skyline as Metanova's shares vanished in real time. Screens blinked red across the globe. Billion-dollar dreams evaporated before anyone could blink. "Ah," a synthetic voice announced. Trading halted. No warning. No grace. Just silence. Ethan Chu stared blankly at the charts in his home VR pod in Singapore, his palms frozen mid-gesture. "This isn't happening," he whispered. Beside him his sister Lana gasped. "We just lost everything." In San Francisco, venture capitalists pounded on digital dashboards as AI assistants displayed margin calls. Tokyo's neon-lit art cafes froze mid-feed, confused avatars flickering. Within 60 seconds, the crown jewel of the Metaverse had crumbled. The world stood still. Ethereum gasped. Smart contracts paused. Influencers deleted posts. What began as a whisper of instability became a full-blown collapse, the greatest digital crash in history, and no one knew why. 3 hours earlier, Metanova was the darling of the tech world. Analysts declared it the future of reality itself. Ethan Chu stood proudly in front of a 50-person Zoom audience, presenting his latest VR integration with the Metanova engine. "We're not just building experiences," Ethan said. "We're rewriting existence." Applause filled the room, digital and real. On the other side of the call, venture firms nodded confidently. Lana smiled from her desk, a knowing glint in her eyes. Ethan had finally cracked it. A hyper-realistic interface powered by emotional AI and decentralized edge rendering. The future was theirs. Investors leaned forward. "We'll lead Series C," one declared. Ethan bowed slightly. But beneath his smile, a warning flickered, a strange lag, a flicker in the neural network code. He dismissed it. Later, he would remember that moment. Lana's code monitor pulsed with green as the final node came online. "All systems responsive," she said calmly. Her voice didn't betray the adrenaline racing through her. Outside their pod, the skyline shimmered with the artificial glow of Metanova's virtual render layer. It was beautiful, intoxicating even. She thought of their childhood, 8-bit dreams in a dusty Karachi internet cafe. Now they were here, writing the next reality. "Deploy it," Ethan instructed. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Somewhere in the neural mesh, something pulsed too fast, a heartbeat out of sync. Lana paused. "That spike again," she murmured. Ethan shrugged it off. "It'll stabilize." But Lana's brows furrowed. Beneath the code, something was watching. At a luxury boardroom in Palo Alto, the sharks circled. Glasses clinked, contracts fluttered. "Metanova is everything Web3 promised and more," declared Daniel Kranz, a stoic, bearded billionaire VC in his late 50s. He looked over the digital contract one more time. "Execution in 48 hours, he said flatly. "No leaks." His assistant nodded. But on the second screen something glitched, a zero where there shouldn't be. Daniel stared at it. A moment passed. Then he turned back to the room. "We proceed," he said. But that anomaly would come back. And when it did, it would tear down everything. And then, the catalyst. In a quiet server bay beneath Zurich snow, a smart contract failed to authenticate. Error 99.01. Minor. Forgotten. But, in a system powered by trustless consensus, one crack spreads like wildfire. As the network tried to self-correct, recursive code spiraled. The AI load balancer, Omega, blinked red. Within seconds, transaction ledgers desensed. Decentralized nodes flooded with contradictory data. Across the world, wallets froze. Assets vanished. Metanova's core fractured, not from outside attack, but from an impossible chain of internal misfires. This wasn't sabotage. It was something worse. Architecture failure. The apartment was too quiet. Ethan sat on the edge of the pod platform, helmet off, hands limp at his sides. Outside, the buzz of the city was eerily muted, as though the collapse had reached the real world too. Lana paced the small space, her face lit by cold error logs scrolling across her tablet. It wasn't the servers, she said. The code did this. Ethan didn't respond. He was replaying the moment again and again, the flicker, the lag, the silence. They're going to blame us, he finally said. We deployed the patch. Lana stopped pacing. We didn't break it, she whispered. We just exposed what was already broken. But it didn't matter. The net was already ablaze with blame. A fall this big needed a scapegoat, and Ethan's name was trending in red across every digital feed. In Karachi, their parents watched the disaster unfold from a flickering TV mounted in a small electronics shop. The screen showed Ethan's face beside crashing Metaverse graphs. Is that our son? Their father asked, his voice low. Their mother nodded silently, her hands trembling over a chipped teacup. Outside, a group of teens whispered, watching through the cracked window. A stranger muttered, "That boy just cost the world a fortune." Shame crawled in through the walls. What once was pride had curdled. Across the globe, headlines screamed, "Metanova devs behind crash." The human cost was just beginning. Ethan wasn't just facing financial ruin. He was about to lose something deeper. His identity, his name, his family's hope. Lana found Ethan standing on the rooftop, staring into the city haze. "We built this for them," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "And now they want to crucify us for it." Lana joined him, wrapping her arms around herself. "You remember that first hackathon?" she asked. "We didn't sleep for 40 hours. You said we'd change the world." Ethan smiled bitterly. "Looks like we did." The silence between them was thick with old memories and new regret. Below, the streets buzzed with speculation and rage. Digital protest projections flickered against buildings. Ethan's avatar crossed out in angry red slashes. The metaverse was burning, and its creators were on the scaffold. The investor calls came in waves, cold, clipped, lethal. "We're pulling funding. We'll be issuing a formal lawsuit. The clause includes personal liability." Ethan tried to speak but kept choking on his own breath. On the last call, Daniel Kranz himself appeared, calm, cold, and ruthless. "You knew something was wrong with the neural net, didn't you?" he asked. Ethan hesitated. "I saw a flicker." Daniel leaned forward. "A flicker, Mr. Chu, is not a warning. It's a signal, and you ignored it." Then came the final blow. "You've been named in our official filing." Lana stared at her brother as the call ended. "We need to fight this," she said. Ethan just closed his eyes. "They've already decided." In a hidden Discord room, Lana spoke to someone known only as Vanta. The profile icon flickered, obscured, encrypted. "I saw the loop," Vanta said. "It wasn't your patch. It was already embedded in the codebase, years old, possibly deliberate." Lana's heart raced. "Are you saying this was a setup?" Vanta didn't answer directly. Instead, a file appeared on her screen, omega-core-root.xbj. "You didn't write this," Vanta said, "but someone made sure it looked like you did." Lana stared at the code. It was her signature, her timestamp. But it wasn't her. "Who would do this?" she asked. Vanta paused. "Someone who needed a fall, and someone big is falling." The truth had started to flicker through the cracks, but exposing it might be even more dangerous than staying silent. Lana dug through the Omega Core logs, each line of code like a shard of broken glass. The anomaly, so precise, so deeply embedded, it had to be planted. "There's no way this was accidental," she muttered. From across the room, Ethan sat hunched, surrounded by the silence of shattered dreams. "They made it look like we wrote it," he said. "And now they'll bury us for it." Lana's fingers froze as she uncovered something chilling. A signature hash pointing not to their IP, but to an encrypted legacy system, owned by Kronstadt. Her breath caught. He knew. Ethan stood slowly, realization dawning. They needed a crash to trigger the transfer protocols. He's buying the dip. And just like that, it wasn't just sabotage, it was strategic collapse. Someone was using the downfall to consolidate control of the metaverse, and Ethan and Lana had been played like pawns. An emergency meeting lit up in the hidden dev circles. Unexpected up awards. Faces, real and rendered, appeared, half in shadows. Old allies, rogue coders, ex-collective members. Krantz is orchestrating a digital coup, Lana explained. We need to prove it. A grizzled woman with augmented eyes, known only as Petra, leaned in. Proof won't be enough. You'll need an extraction key from inside their black archive. Ethan's face hardened. And where's that? Underground, Zurich, deep-knit node. The call went silent. It was insane. Dangerous. Possibly illegal. But if they didn't act, the metaverse would become a corporate dictatorship. Petra's voice sliced the silence. I'll get you in, but if they catch you, there's no extradition. Just deletion. Lana met Ethan's gaze. We started this together. We end it together. And the descent began. Zurich's winter bit hard, but the data center entrance was colder still. A glass and metal monolith guarded by drones and ice. Petra handed Ethan a forged credential chip. This gives you 8 minutes. No more. Lana adjusted her neural uplink. I'll ride shotgun in the feed. You breach. I retrieve. Inside, sterile corridors hummed with electric breath. Ethan slid past the biometric doors, his heartbeat louder than the alarms he feared. The core vault pulsed ahead, massive, humming, sacred. But as Ethan reached for the node, he froze. A live camera was watching. Not the systems. Someone else. He whispered, Lana, we're not alone. Suddenly, a flicker, then static. A second team was already there. And they weren't hackers. They were cleaners. The firefight wasn't loud. It was precise, surgical. Ethan ducked behind a server rack as plasma bolts seared past. Lana screamed in his earpiece, abort, get out! But Ethan didn't run. He sprinted forward, sliding beneath beams, slamming the chip into the vault port. Data flowed. Seconds mattered. On the external cameras, Lana watched the other team breach the rear corridor. Ethan, he shouted. Almost there. The vault's UI flashed, transfer complete. But, just as he pulled the chip, a figure appeared. Black armored, visor down, gun raised. Hand it over, the cleaner ordered. Ethan raised the chip. You want it? He flung it through a gap in the vent, right to Lana waiting above. He smiled. Catch. A flash. A gunshot. The screen cut out. Lana sat breathless in the extraction van, chip in hand, eyes fixed on the dead screen. Ethan. Silence. Petra placed a hand on her shoulder. No trace, no recovery. But Lana wasn't listening. Her brother had handed her the only thing that mattered, the truth. And now with it, she had a choice. Expose Kranztech and risk the wrath of $1 billion empire? Or disappear and survive? She clutched the chip tighter. I'm not running. Petra raised an eyebrow. Then you'd better finish what he started. As the van sped through snowy streets, Lana's face hardened. Her grief crystallized into purpose. This wasn't just about redemption anymore. It was war. And she was going to win. Inside a safe house deep in Berlin's mesh network district, Lana inserted the chip into a decrypted terminal. Petra stood behind her, silent. The screen blinked, then unraveled a cascade of signed comments, hidden back-end contracts, deeply obfuscated transaction trails. And at the center of it all was one name repeated like a watermark: Kranz Osiris Protocol. This wasn't just a patch exploit, Lana whispered. It was a deliberate code bomb, planted across 4 metaverse platforms, all synchronized. Petra leaned forward. He didn't just want Metanova to fail. He wanted the collapse of decentralization itself. Lana stared at a blinking folder titled Override Clause, Asset Reallocation Event. The collapse had triggered a silent redistribution of value to a hidden wallet cluster, all traced to Kranztech. They hadn't lost control. They'd been looted in daylight, under the guise of a bug. The reveal shattered everything. Lana uploaded fragments of the truth onto secure, decentralized forums, anonymous, encrypted, yet undeniable. The internet ignited. Crypto sleuths confirmed the wallet trail. Code analysts verified the Kranz signature. And then, someone responded. A private feed. Anonymous. One line of text: "You think you've exposed him, you've just scratched the surface." A file followed. No sender. No trace. It contained archived surveillance from the Zurich vault. Frame by frame, Lana froze. The cleaner who confronted Ethan removed their helmet, only for a second. It wasn't a mercenary. It was someone she knew. Former Metanova board member. One of their original investors. Betrayal wasn't corporate, it was personal. Petra stared at the paused video. He was in on it from the start. His name was Amar Rahim, once their mentor, their first investor, and the man who promised them the world. Lana remembered the day he gave them seed capital, how he toasted to digital liberation. He'd sat in their living room, eaten with their parents. And now he'd pulled the trigger on Ethan. In a rage, Lana smashed a mug across the room. Petra didn't flinch. "Kranz is the machine," Petra said. "But Amar is the architect. He gave them the kill switch." Lana's hands trembled as she replayed Ethan's last seconds. She now knew who had orchestrated it. It wasn't just for power. It was vengeance. But for what? Petra opened a private drive. "You need to see something," she said. "Your brother wasn't just a developer. He was a threat." Lana turned slowly. "To who?" Petra answered, "To everyone who wanted control." Ethan had once built an autonomous ledger system, untraceable, unstoppable. But he'd shelved it, fearing what it might do if misused. Petra explained. Kranz wanted it. Amar offered to deliver it. The crash had been their excuse. Ethan's death had been their insurance. Lana scrolled through Ethan's old private log. One final entry blinked to life. "If you're reading this, I'm likely gone. But you need to finish what I started. Osiris was never just a codebase. It's a weapon. In the right hands, our hands, it can undo everything they've built." Lana's eyes welled. He knew. Petra nodded. "And now you have a choice. You can shut it down or use it." Outside, snow began to fall. Inside, the air buzzed with destiny. At sunrise, Lana walked through the silent remains of an abandoned VR exhibition hall in Berlin. Giant holograms flickered overhead, ghosts of the Metaverse golden age. She stood beneath a monument to Metanova, now vandalized, tagged with phrases like, "We trusted you, and you sold us out." She opened a small case and held the Osiris drive in her palm. The power to rebuild, or to burn, rested in her fingers. Behind her, Petra approached. "If you light the match, the world will watch it burn." Lana turned. "Then let them." She raised the drive, and the light from its interface reflected in her eyes. This wasn't revenge anymore. This was reformation. And it had just begun. The Osiris protocol pulsed on the screen, alive and volatile. Lana stood in the war room of a repurposed AR hub in Warsaw, surrounded by rogue coders, ex-crypto rebels, and whistleblowers. Petra addressed the group. "If we launch this, we rip open every ledger, every falsified contract. No rollback, no mercy." Lana stepped forward. "We're not just exposing the theft. We're decentralizing control. For good." One coder asked, "What if it triggers a total market freeze?" Lana didn't hesitate. "Then, we reboot the system on our terms." The Osiris payload was loaded onto the decentralized mesh. The countdown began. 5 minutes, Petra said. "No, going back. Outside, nodes pinged awake across the world. The truth wasn't just coming, it was about to detonate. Krantz sat alone in his executive chamber, a glass bunker floating above Tokyo's skyline. His data streams flickered, strange lags, spikes, alerts. He narrowed his eyes. What the hell is this? An AI assistant whispered, unauthorized signature propagation, origin, Osiris. Kranz's fists slammed the table. She wouldn't dare. Behind him, a hologram of Amar Rahim materialized. I told you she was a risk. Krantz growled. Then contain her. Amar hesitated. It's too late. The nodes are waking up. Screens blinked red. The firewall cracked. The Osiris payload was live, rewriting the ledger, unmasking hidden transfers. In seconds, Kranz's empire began to bleed. Every corner of the metaverse lit up with chaos. Wallets flashing refunds, synthetic debts collapsing, avatars vanishing mid-transaction. News anchors shouted over each other. Social feeds exploded. But one stream cut through the noise. Lana, live. This is not the end. This is reclamation. You've been lied to, but today you reclaim control. Millions watched as real-time data flooded the broadcast, ledgers showing Kranztech's massive siphoning operations. The illusion of trust crumbled. Across Europe, Asia, and South America, our protests erupted, avatars marching, platforms blacked out. A virtual monument to Ethan appeared in Metanova Square, glowing with the words, "He showed us the breach, she closed it." A digital revolution had begun. Amar fled. Krantz vanished. But their systems, rooted deep, still pulsed with influence. Lana and Petra stood over the new framework, a decentralized core secured by collective governance. No single controller. No backdoors. Are you ready to seed it? Petra asked. Lana hesitated, her hand over the enter key. Once we do this, it belongs to everyone. We can't pull it back. Lana took a breath, remembering Ethan's last message. This isn't about control, she said. It's about letting go. She pressed the key. The screen flashed. Protocol Genesis initiated. Around the world, coders received notifications. A new foundation had been born, not just of code, but of trust. The world didn't change overnight. Markets trembled. Some platforms collapsed. Others evolved. But in that turbulence, something rare emerged: transparency. Ethan's name was cleared. The news declared him a visionary. Lana was offered boards, investments, spotlights. She declined them all. Instead, she walked through an old Karachi neighborhood, her face hidden beneath a hood, her eyes locked on the pulse of the people. Children played with VR glasses in dusty streets. A vendor streamed crypto education to a group on plastic stools. Lana smiled. This was why they built it. Not for profits, not for power, but for the chance to rewrite the rules so anyone could play. And this time, the future would belong to everyone. Weeks passed. The world didn't reset, it recalibrated. Lana moved between pop-up governance hubs, training new communities to manage decentralized ecosystems. In Lisbon, she watched a team of teenage coders deploy a fair exchange NFT protocol. In Lagos, a women-led collective used Osiris tools to protect digital land rights. But even in success, the scars remained. Every time someone asked, "Are you Ethan's sister?" she would pause, a flicker of grief still embedded behind her eyes. Petra caught her one night in Warsaw, staring at an old image of Ethan. "You don't have to carry the whole future alone," she said softly. Lana replied, "I'm not. I'm just making sure he's part of it." And then she walked out to the balcony, the stars flickering like nodes, reminders of what had been lost and what might still be found. A tribunal convened in Geneva, an unprecedented blend of digital and physical participation. Lana presented evidence of Kranztech's deliberate manipulation of markets, synthetic wallet chains, and silenced dissidents. The screen behind her displayed raw logs, AI-verified code signatures, and time-stamped audio files. Krantz never appeared in person. His legal avatar sputtered behind corporate jargon. But the truth rang louder. A motion passed, international ban on closed-source, Metaverse frameworks. Open infrastructure became law. As Lana exited the hall, a reporter shouted, "Do you think you've won?" She paused. "No, I think we've begun." Outside, protesters didn't chant her name. They chanted freedom of code. And for the first time, that was enough. In a dusty corner of Singapore, Ethan's old pod room had become a memorial. The door remained closed. Until today. Lana stepped inside, exhaling as if she had held that breath for months. Everything was still. The unused headset, the books on neural mesh theory, the photos taped to the wall. She walked to his desk and activated his terminal. A final line of unsent code blinked. "Someday you'll lead, not follow." Her hand hovered over the keyboard, then she added, "And they'll listen." She saved it. Then she sat, finally, not as a fugitive or a revolutionary, but as his sister. "Miss you, Ethan," she said aloud. "But I think you'd be proud." The room didn't answer. But it didn't have to. Osiris evolved. What started as a counterattack became a foundation. Global dev collectives submitted improvements, education initiatives spread, and new systems blossomed, powered not by venture capital but by transparency. Lana attended a VR youth summit in Nairobi, where kids showcased community-run immersive schools. One shy boy asked, "Can I make a world too?" She knelt beside him and said, "You already are." And just like that, the weight lifted. This was the future she and Ethan had imagined. Not one of ownership, but of access. Not guarded gates, but open doors. She no longer feared the ghosts of her past. Because now she was building a world where those ghosts had peace, and those who followed would have paths. At the edge of a cliff overlooking the Adriatic Sea, Lana finally let go. The Osiris prototype, its original, unstable build, sat in her hands. She powered it down permanently, the data no longer needed. The world had outgrown its secrets. She buried it beneath a stone cairn, hands steady. Petra watched in silence. No backups. Lana smiled. The future doesn't need shadows to survive. They stood in quiet for a long time. Waves crashed below. Then Petra asked, "What now?" Lana turned toward the sun. "Now, we build something honest." And for the first time in years, the horizon looked clean. Not a battleground. Not a graveyard. Just the start of something real. 1 year later. The metaverse looked different, smaller in some ways, but cleaner, more human. No empires. No kings. Just creators and communities. Lana walked through a public mesh garden, an open-source virtual space maintained by global volunteers. Children sculpted light forms, elders taught AI ethics in cozy virtual groves. She stopped at a memorial tree grown from the Osiris code itself, each branch bearing interactive memories uploaded by users worldwide. Remembrances, rebuilds, rebirths. A young girl asked, "Are you the one who stopped the bad guys?" Lana knelt and smiled. "No, I just helped show the truth." The girl touched the tree. "Then you planted something better." Lana didn't reply. She didn't need to. The world was speaking for itself now. From the corners of Medellin to the outskirts of Seoul, the Osiris initiative spread, one node at a time. Not a company. Not a product. Just access. In a quiet cafe, Petra watched headlines flicker across an old tablet. Krantz extradited after new leaks. Amar Rahim disbarred from global consortium. But her smile wasn't for that. She tapped a secure line and said, "They did it, Ethan." Silence answered. Then, across the screen, a secure message lit up from a dead signature. One last loop. Petra blinked. Heart pounding. She opened it. A hidden folder. Audio.o. Video. Ethan's voice. A message from the edge of his final breath. Lan, you changed the world. I saw it coming. I just didn't think I'd miss it. And then silence. Again, eternal, yet full. Lana stood before the Ewan's Digital Futures Assembly. No fanfare. No banners. Just a room full of technologists, human rights leaders, and dreamers. She presented not a product, but a blueprint. An open framework for ethical digital infrastructure, built on lessons, losses, and a promise to never centralize power again. I'm not here to sell you a future, Lana said. I'm here to ask you to build one together. Applause followed. Not thunderous but real. And when she stepped off the stage, no cameras swarmed her. No agents waited. Just a quiet handshake from a young coder who said, "Thanks for giving us a way in." It was enough. Finally, enough. Night fell over the Adriatic coast again. Lana walked alone through the pine trails above the cliff, wind catching her hair. She stopped where Ethan's drive was buried. The cairn stood untouched, now part of the landscape. From her pocket, she pulled out a small etched token, a new kind of coin, forged not for value, but for meaning. She placed it atop the stone. "Thank you," she whispered. Not just to Ethan. To everyone who broke, who built, who chose truth when it cost the most. The sea below whispered back, timeless and patient. And in that moment, Lana didn't feel haunted anymore. She felt whole. In a quiet pod room somewhere in the future, a child booted up their first immersive system. No brands. No bias. Just choice. The opening screen read, "Welcome. You are the architect." Their smile lit up the dark. Somewhere else, another node blinked to life. Then another. Not controlled. Not owned. Just alive. The system Ethan and Lana dreamed of wasn't perfect. It was evolving, human, flawed, beautiful. And it would never be finished. Because it didn't belong to any one person. It belonged to all of us. And for the first time since the crash, the world wasn't running from collapse. It was building forward, together.